Hey, what's up guys, it's Reflex, and today we're off of the floor. I finally cleaned off my desk and got some better lights set up, so you better enjoy it while it lasts, because I'm sure we'll be back on the floor eventually as soon as this desk gets messy again. And please excuse the cat hair and drool on the table. Jack decided to get up on my lap right as I was getting ready to start filming, so thanks for that, Jack. But today I wanted to talk about my favorite everyday carry fountain pen, my Schon design Ultem. I know I've mentioned it a few times here, but in case you've missed those videos, Ultem is a name brand PEI or polyetheramide plastic. Kind of hard to say. I think that's how you say it though. Now, a lot of brands claim the plastic in their pens is special, but in this case, it's actually pretty special. So Schon Design is known for making engineering masterpieces, and this is no exception. Ultem is extremely strong and stiff, which allows the walls of this pen to be extremely thin, also making it very light. I think you can kind of see how thin it is. I believe if I squeeze it, very strong, very thin, very light. Ultem is also flame retardant, hydrolysis resistant, has low outgassing, and is UV resistant. I mean, most of that doesn't really matter for a fountain pen, but it is still really cool. And the UV resistance and high strength are really the most interesting when it comes to being in the pen form. It just kind of helps it out. Now, Schon of Schon Design, he's their founder, designer, and engineer, is an absolute mad lad. If we take a closer look at this pen, you'll see like a crazy amount of O-rings. We have one in the cap, 3 in the section. There's one down here you probably can't see. And then, I feel like there's one down here, maybe not. So there's 3 or 4 in the body. I think there might be one up there too. There's a crazy amount of O-rings, so you don't need to worry about any leaks, even if you don't put silicone grease in the threads, which I haven't done, and I've had absolutely no problems. This pen also does come with a Jowo 6 threaded section. They do also sell a Bach 8 section separately, but I just have the stock one that uses standard Jowo 6 threads, meaning the world is your oyster in terms of what nibs you can put in there. Speaking of which, you can see I have a Sailor nib in there. This is interesting, of course, if you know anything about Sailor nibs, because they're proprietary, but thankfully Flexible Nib Factory makes an adapter that allows you to put proprietary nibs into Jowo 6 housings. I also have one here for my vintage Pelican M400 nib. And as well as the stock nib that came with the Schon. Just a plain steel Jowo 6. But what makes this Sailor Zoom nib better for everyday carry, in my opinion, is the extreme versatility. So if we get some paper, if I'm bored, I gotta figure out where to put the paper. Let me bring you a little bit closer. So if I am bored, the default writing angle is insanely fun, super broad nib, great for doodles and laying down a bunch of ink just to look at the pretty colors, as you will see. Very fun, puts down a bunch of ink, lovely. And if I need to write something with a reasonably sized nib, I can flip over the pen and reverse write. Easy peasy. The Zoom nib also seems to work well at more roll angles, which is also really nice if I'm scrambling to write something, like someone giving me an important date I need to write down before skedaddling. You know, if I'm like writing at a weird angle, it'll still write just fine. So I've mentioned the perks of Ultem and why I think the Zoom nib is great for everyday carry, but there are some small details that are really the icing on top of the cake. First is that this pen is extremely easy to clean. That's pretty normal for eyedropper pens like this, which also I should say this pen does also take a converter, but I prefer to eyedropper it for the maximum ink capacity. But yeah, inherently easy to clean when eyedroppered, but being Ultem does make it even easier if for some reason you're having a really tough time cleaning it, which you really shouldn't be, but if you are, you can use alcohol. You don't want to use alcohol on other plastic pens as it can lead to cracking, but it's fine with Ultem. You just want to make sure you don't use Windex or other ammonia-based cleaners like ammonia-based pen flush. A lot of pen flush will have ammonia in it, so you'll want to be careful with that. Another beauty of this pen is how well behaved the whole package is. I keep this pen in my pocketbook whenever I leave the house, and I've never had any ink get in the cap. I've also never had any issues with burping, which I know some people complain about with eyedroppered pens. Though admittedly, I've never had any issues with burping with my eyedroppered pens, including my Moonman C1, which is like pretty cheap. So I don't know, it might just be me. The only problem I've had with burping was more just general leaking rather than burping, and that was just with a terrible pen, so I don't really count that. So this whole package really just makes it the best everyday carry fountain pen for me. It's an absolute tank, has all the utility I want without sacrificing on quality or style. I like the way the pen looks, but they do offer other options if you don't like the natural trash color of Ultem. Kind of looks like degrading trash or trash that someone peed on, but I like that. But if you don't like that color or the shape of this particular pen, they do offer some variety in color and shape. Not much, but there are some options. So I think like you can get a black one, you can get a straight wall version, a pocket version. There's a few options. It's kind of just like a high level trim Ford F-150. It's a beater truck, but it's still got the leather seats. Just absolutely amazing pen. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below and I will answer them as soon as possible. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.